All right. Before we get going on our accounting cost module, which is our last module here for Personal Finance Survival Guide, I want to take a few minutes to talk about some of the reasons that we want to do it, give you kind of some general advice and kind of share on my thoughts, and then we'll get you guys going on, where do we go to find all these things. So, we know that you guys are going to be fine. Right? Everybody just about that's graduated from Island has been willing to work hard, and that means you're going to be able to get a job, and you're going to have income, and you'll be able to afford a place to live. And especially if we're willing to, work with our family and our friends and find really fiscally responsible ways to live. But our hope is that our alums go on to not just be fine, but to actually be great, to really be leaders where it is. And it doesn't have to look like president or, a big CEO. You can just be, a manager, and you can be somebody that people look up to. And that's the sort of person that we hope you are. We hope that you grow into. And we believe that by setting yourself up with a plan for after high school, that's kind of one of the best ways to take the first steps into really being one of those into greatness. We are going to take a look at how much college costs, because we know that statistically, if you have more training after high school, you're going to make more money. And while it's true that money doesn't necessarily buy happiness, when we look at the data, generally people are happier when they make more money. Not that people who are well off aren't ever unhappy, but once you get up into that $60,000, $70,000 range, you are able to move past a lot of concerns about housing and healthcare and emergencies, and you're able to kind of like weather the storm. And so if we're able to get in that place, then certainly that's where we want you guys to be. We want you to be into a place that is happy. Now, some of you are, well, all of you should have a conversation with your family. Hey, what sort of support can I expect after high school? Is it you're 18, get out of this house? Is it, your great Aunt Ruthie left you, a fully paid trust fund that's going to cover all your college so you don't have any debt? Both of those are scenarios that, maybe could happen. If you're in a scenario where you're really going to be more on your own, how can you get the most bang for your buck? And if you're in a scenario where things are kind of provided for you, and I'll be honest, I was fortunate enough to graduate college without any debt because my family helped me. Mr. Morlock, shared a story the other day about all the different avenues of financial aid that he had, and we've both really gotten to pretty similar places. We're both teachers at Milan High School. There's a lot of different ways to get there. If you are in that fortunate sort of scenario, we want you to go through and pay attention to what the costs, see what value you're getting from having that advantage, and also have empathy for people who are with you, following kind of the same path. What are their loan situations like? How can you understand what they're going through? And we're going to provide you with some data and some numbers that you can use to practice it as an exercise. Talking about student debt and student loans, even if you won't have any. And if you're going into the military, the armed forces, services, we also want you to go through that, because the military is going to pay you to let them train you, which, from a purely financial standpoint, is a pretty good deal. The trade-off is, freedom, and, you might move around, and, obviously all the physical strain. So there's certainly trade-offs, but it's a great way to get training and have that paid for. We want you to understand how much financial value that training has, that you're going to get. What would you have to pay if you wanted it on your own instead of, having Uncle Sam train you up on that? All that being said, training, the things that we're going over in your Personal Finance Survival Guide, the degrees or training programs or apprenticeships that we hope you're going to get, those things are only advantageous if you end up using them. Like so many things, you've got to use the advantages that you have, and we really want to encourage that, because that's how you end up being great. If you get kind of those certificates, or you get that training, but you kind of don't use it, again, you're going to be fine. We're not worried. There's not some sort of dire prediction here, but we want you to be great. So the flip side of being great is, it is certainly possible. Sometimes people do fail. And really the ways people fail are somewhat similar. They largely, when it comes to after high school, don't understand the value of a degree. For instance, if you want to be a teacher, right? We're obviously teachers, it's a great profession. I hope that good people continue to want to be teachers. But if you go to Eastern Michigan, and you're able to live at home and you're able to commute, and you push through credit hours, maybe you only end up taking $8,000 in student loans. You say, hey, I really want to go to the University of Michigan. I want to see football games in the big house. I want to have the maize and blue. Well, it's a more expensive university, and to go there to be a teacher, well, you might graduate with $50,000 or $60,000 in debt. Once you get into that career track, you're going to make the same amount. Teachers make $35,000 to $40,000 a year starting out, and then at the top end they make $70,000 to $80,000. Right? So regardless of where that degree came from, you end up with the same sort of earning potential. So what's the value of that educational degree, from each of those institutions? You look at art, and some people say, well, I'm just going to practice my art. I'm just going to draw in my free time, and I'm going to, wait tables, pay the bills. Well, oftentimes college-educated artists also tend to do better. Again, statistically, they're more likely to be working in their field and kind of freelance. So the question you have to ask yourself is, knowing that college degrees help you have higher earning potential, help you make more money, set you up for success, but they also may require you to take on some debt, how do you balance those benefits with the the risks of taking on loans and the hit that has on your credit card, or your credit rating, sorry. And the last thing I want to say is, when you're looking at colleges, when you're looking at programs, what's really, really important is that you step back, and this is the thing that a lot of people as a teacher think, and it hurts me a little bit. The degree is not just the things that you are learning from the curriculum, right? Many colleges use the same textbook, right? And so if you take a class Psych 101, you get to read the same textbook at, maybe Washington, U of M, and MSU, and Ferris State. They might all have the same Psych 101 textbook. All that information is provided to you there. So then what's the difference in prestige? Why are those schools priced differently? And this is the answer, and this is a secret, and this is what's really important. I hope you take this away, is when you are in any training program, you network. Work with the people. Getting a degree lets you have access to certain sets of doors, opportunities. Having a person willing to open the door for you is what gets you through and really moves you on to success. If you look at the Supreme Court, if you look at presidents, many of them, like a disproportionate amount to the country, have Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Dartmouth. They have Ivy League degrees. Why is that? It's because those degrees, those colleges, offer different networking opportunities than Concordia would. Right? That network is often what you're paying for, in addition to facilities and some other things. That network access is something that you're paying for at more prestigious universities. So is that worth it? Well, that's research that we have to do over the next few days to find out. And I'm really going to encourage you again, talk to people, have relationships, work on projects, talk to the adults wherever you end up, and see if they can help springboard you from high school through college and training onto your next steps. So that being said, let's take a look at our personal finance folder here. We are going to be working, in the PFSG project materials, and we're going to be in the counting the costs module. First thing you should do is read through the introduction. Then this is the part 1 of the video, which hopefully you've already watched. The assignment that you're going to complete is here, and it's going to be really important that you make a copy of this spreadsheet. This is where we're going to work for like 3 days. Right? And there are some really beneficial things to having a copy of the spreadsheet, where Mrs. Streeter and myself have preloaded some formulas for you. So what we're doing as an assignment is completing this spreadsheet, and then we'll take that and put it in our slideshow for our personal finance survival guide. When we go back to the folder, there are videos for each tab on that spreadsheet, and we're going to work through all of these. Okay, what you need to do is follow along with the video, pause where needed, go look up at the websites that the videos talk about, so you can get college costs. And if you need any help, ask one of the teachers. We'll help you try to find different costs, and sometimes something's called a fee at one place and it's included in another. We'll help you work through that if you ask us. but do your best to follow along with video, complete each of the spreadsheets. I would say day one, we want to finish the first tab of the spreadsheet, right? College cost. Now, day two is remote day. You want to get through my resources and finish up college cost if needed. And then day three will be our next in-person day. You want to do paycheck calculator, post-training budget calculator, and loan repayment. The two calculators, honestly, you can do those in like 15 minutes total. They're like 1 to 2 minute instructional videos, and then the work is really, really easy. The first two and the last one is where you'll really be kind of putting the time in. Now, to fill these out and make them have the most value for you, you're going to want to know what sort of financial aid, which is why we've already done FAFSA, so you might have the expected family contribution in there. Please talk to your parents about what they're willing to help you with after high school. But if that conversation is really too hard to have, and some families don't want to disclose that information, and you don't want to share it with teachers, we totally understand. So if your family doesn't share or isn't willing to share, what their values are, use the median or average numbers for Michigan. So you can see here we have the averages for you. So over the next couple days, you're going to make a copy of the spreadsheet that's in here. You're going to watch and work through these videos, and you can also obviously finish off any other things that you need to. And that's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to count the costs.